couple of seconds. We're going to introduce you to one of our little girls. Her name is Cassie. She came to us from lovely Safari Park in England. There she came and there she went. Just going to have a quick swim. And then up onto her rock over here any second now. And she's a very friendly sea lion, so she should hopefully give you all a big wave hello. There we go. Nice little back over that, Cassie. Lovely friendly sea lion. Alrighty, now Cassie today is being trained by Louise, one of our sea lion trainers, and she'll be doing a couple of health checks just to kick things off with young Cassie here. This is something we do with all our sea lions every day. The guys in the back are busy doing health checks with our other sea lions there. So the first thing is, you'll notice Louise has in her hand a little stick with an orange ball at the end. As Cassie goes for the quick swim. There we go. Like a speedboat back onto the land. Right, there we go. So now that little stick, let me tell you about that. It has a little ball at the end, and that is called a target. And as you can see, for the most part, Cassie is keeping her nose up against that target. So it's a very useful tool to keep her distracted while, as you can see, Louise is rubbing her neck down. Louise can also do a flipper check with Cassie at the same time. There we go. So taking control of those flippers to have a look at the delicate bones inside to make sure they're not broken or damaged or injured in any way. If you had to x-ray that front flipper, it kind of looks like a human hand. Wrong hand. There we go. That's better. It kind of looks like a human hand, 5 fingers, but with very, very long bones. And those can become damaged fairly easily, so it is important to monitor. Now what we can also do is have a look in Cassie's mouth to make sure that there are no fish bones or spines stuck in between her teeth or jabbing into her gums, because all they pretty much eat is fish. So Louise has a special command, thumb and forefinger apart, and the voice command open. There we go. So she'll hold her mouth open nice and steady for a tooth check. And some of our other sea lions, the behavior has progressed to a point where we can brush their teeth or put our fingers inside their mouth to manipulate any foreign objects out from between their teeth. Alright, that was fairly good. Alrighty, now Cassie over here actually has a very close relative that lives along the coast of Ireland, and I'm sure you guys have probably met this relative or seen the relative before, and that is the harbour seal. Now, a lot of people confuse our Californian sea lions here with the harbour seal found along the coast of Ireland, but there are some differences between the two. And Cassie, whenever you're ready, you can pop up onto the rock and we'll show you guys a couple of the differences. So we'll get up onto this main rock here in front. There we go. Now you'll be able to see her earlobes pretty clearly from where you are, behind each eye on either side of the head. Now they are fairly small, but they are still clearly visible. The harbour seal's ears are just little holes on the side of its head. And they're also covered by a thick layer of fur, so they don't have visible earlobes. So that's one big difference. Another difference is, take a look at Cassie's front flippers. Very big in relation to her body. And if Louise takes her for a quick walk over the ground, you'll see how sea lions typically move over dry land. See the heron's getting a little bit panicked. Don't worry, heron, he's not going to eat you. There we go. So have a look, belly off the ground, head is held high. But most importantly, look at those hind flippers. Look how she's walking along with them. Kind of looks like a lady mincing along in a pencil skirt. But they are jointed, and they actually enable her to move very quickly over dry land. And she's also a very accomplished climber, as you can see. Like a bird. There we go. Now she can actually bound up and down these rocks with very little effort at all. Whereas the harbour seal, their front flippers are very small in relation to their body. And when they move over the ground, they can't keep their belly off the ground. They have to wriggle around like a giant caterpillar. So we'll see if we can get a seal slide impersonation from young Cassie. There we go. Come on. Ah, very good. You get the idea. Give it a round of applause for that. Very well done, Cassie. So they have a much lower profile to the ground. They're not as quick as the Californian sea lion on dry land anyway. And that was the purpose of that exercise, really, to show you that seals do differ from our sea lions. But they are still, however, very close relatives. Both are marine mammals. They belong to a family called pinnipeds. They are predators, feeding mostly on fish, but they'll also take squid, crustaceans, and the occasional seabirds. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that heron over there has nothing to worry about. Our sea lions here are not going to try and waste energy catching a bird when they get fed a very good diet of mackerel, herring, sprat, and squid here at the zoo. Alrighty, now, sea lions in the wild face a number of threats. One of the most sinister threats is a man-made threat, which is pollution, in particular, littering. Now, that is my bugbear. I particularly hate litter because it is so dangerous for these guys. You imagine a shiny little sweet wrapper floating around in the sea to a hungry marine predator out there in the wild. Food is very scarce, so they're not going to think twice about grabbing something and swallowing it. Something that looks like a fish to them is going to be pretty much fair game. They'll just grab it, swallow it. Once it's in their belly, it can cause a number of issues, the worst of which is a blockage. If that happens, it means the animal can't digest its food, and it will slowly starve to death. It's not a very pleasant way for an animal to die. Extremely painful, and in this sort of environment, it's something that we can actually not detect until it is already too late. So there's a very simple thing that we all need to do with our litter and any litter that we actually see lying around. So simple, even Cassie knows how to do it. I have a recycling bin over here to demonstrate, and inside I have a bottle, and I'm going to be the bold boy and throw this plastic bottle into Cassie's pool. With any luck, Cassie isn't going to swallow it. And she should. I'm just going to throw it through that window. There'll be a lot of trouble down there. Alrighty, Cassie, so in your own time. First time. Excellent. It's as easy as that, guys. Litter goes into the bin. If Cassie can get it right, then so can all of us. Alrighty, now I did mention earlier that Cassie is a predator, but there are other predators that live in the ocean that pose another threat, a natural threat, to sea lions. And there's one particular predator that is somewhat of a specialist sea lion hunter, very, very large fish indeed. And we're going to get you to guess the name of this type of predator with a little bit of help from Cassie. So she's hopefully going to give you all a clue as to who this predator is. And if you can guess correctly, I want you to shout out its name. Okay, that looks a little bit like a squid. Someone shouted correctly there. Or she's not giving us a very good clue. Oh, well, fair play to you. Oh, here we go. That's a bit better. Excellent. As you all probably guessed, it's a shark.
I did it.
Well done, Pepsi. You'll get a very small reward for that. Alrighty, so sharks, in particular great white sharks, but also bull sharks and tiger sharks, are the main predators of sea lions. But sea lions are not stupid. They're actually very intelligent animals, very social as well, and they do have ways of avoiding and escaping predators. And according to researchers, a lot more sea lions get away from sharks than are actually ever caught by sharks. And that's because, firstly, they do everything by numbers. So you'll always see a group of sea lions in the ocean looking for fish. That way there are more eyes looking out for predators. But if they do happen to spot a predator on their tail, they will try and outmaneuver it, and they are very often successful at doing this. And that's not because they're faster than a shark. In a straight line race, a shark is a lot faster, but these guys are a lot more maneuverable. They're extremely maneuverable, actually. With those very powerful paddle-like front flippers, they can move through the water at around about 40 kilometers per hour, and they can change their direction on a ticky. They can literally do 180-degree turn on the spot and bolt away very quickly. So what they'll do is stick to the shark's tail, keep the shark turning, change direction. Eventually the shark should give up and look for something else to hunt. They'll also leap in and out of the water like a dolphin or a porpoise, and we actually call that behavior porpoising. And what they do upon re-entering the water is make a very sudden turn to the right or to the left in an attempt